Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm your host, Keith Downey, and I am humbled, honored to introduce our next guest. He's the host of EWTN's The Long Ride Home and the Bear Wozniak Adventure Radio Show, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Central, champion surfer and Benedictine Oblate, and author of the 12 Rules for Manliness. Where have all the cowboys gone? Good morning and happy Easter, Bear.
Aloha. Hey, Keith. Good morning. I don't know if it's morning. It's dark over here still in Hawaii.
I know it's really early for you, so thank you so much for hopping on. I'm in Arizona, so the sun hasn't come up either, so we can commiserate together on that.
Oh, cool. You got a lot of beach there, don't you? Just no ocean.
Well, I mean,
sand.
That's right. We're waiting for California to sink, so that way we have ocean front property. So we're just waiting for that to happen, but who knows? So good morning, and you've done a lot, my goodness. But I'm curious to know, and I'm sure our listeners as well, what is the 12 Rules for Manliness, and what inspired you to write it?
Oh, it's so cool. While young men and men of all ages are really in a battle now, right, for being understanding even what a man is, and my wife and I were driving here along Kalakaua and up by Diamond Head. And this song came on the radio, and the song is "Where Have All the Cowboys Gone?" I forget her name now off the top of my head, but she's singing this song, "Where's My John Wayne?" And she says, "You're going to love this song." And she leaned over and turned it up, and that was it. The book had to be written. So we're just seeing a real crisis for men now, and so and I've been out on college campuses speaking too, and it's actually they've tried to shut me down just based on the title of the book in some of the campuses. But 12 Rules for Manliness, the word man comes from the Latin word ver, right, which is where you get the word virtue. And the other thing is, the word for man in Latin also is homo, like from Homo sapien. It comes from the root word humu, which means dirt. And we have these 60-second shorts of cowboys, from excerpts from my book. They're all cowboy themed. The one that blew up so big was the one that starts out, "Men are made out of mud." It blew up really, really big, and then YouTube shut it down. We just don't want that grittiness in them. So to me, it's getting back to grit and grace. And I think men really respond to that. It shows you in the Factory Loaded to respond to that.
Grit and grace. I love that as a man. That's great. Now, what has been so you mentioned you go into all these college campuses. What's been the response from these young men on college campuses?
Oh, and the women. because I'll speak to the men, and then we'll have a mixed gathering of younger men and women, and also of all ages. Everyone is just viscerally responsive to the message. Like, we need men to be men again. In fact, when Cindy and I would go out and speak different places, sometimes we do radio, the galas. So a lot of times I speak just to men, but when we go out and we speak together, before we can get in the room, we'll be surrounded by women saying, "Tell the men we need for them to be men again." So not in that old macho way, but there's that verse, I think it's in 1 Corinthians 16. I'm not going to get it quite right, but it says, "Be alert, stand strong, act like men." And then it says, "Do all things in love." Those all go together. But you notice it didn't say act like a man. It said act like men. It means you need to be in brotherhood. You need to have other strong brothers doing this walk with you.
Wow. That's
but when
incredible.
we were actually on a Catholic college campus, and the women of the professors tried to shut us down there. And we didn't realize that the bishop had to make special effort to give us permission to speak there. But when my wife was in the back before we started, these women came in and she said, "Oh, so glad you're here," and because she had the books out, she goes, "Why, doesn't he usually let women into his talks?" They were really, and Cindy was like taken aback, like, "What's going on?" But they were in the back trying to take notes.
Yeah.
And finally, when they realized I was telling them that men need to be men and they need to be virtuous, they need to act in love, they got up and left. So
yeah,
kind of disappointed.
Well, so I guess in your opinion, what would you say are the biggest challenges facing men today in the church, and how should we address them?
I would say, first of all, owning up to the fact that the place that men are in the world today and in the church is our own fault. Men, I think men acquiesced back in the 60s. I was young enough to live through that. I'm old enough to live through that. And when the pill came out and men could have their way with women without any responsibility, or we say in Hawaii, kuleana, which is more than responsibility. It's like a personal ownership of stewardship. And women acquiesce to that. You know, if you really love me, you go to bed with me. I think that's when all hell broke loose. And so when men could seek pleasure instead of responsibility, you know, I think John Wayne, I quote a lot of Louis L'Amour in this book. You got to look at the title if people can see it. But I quote a lot of Louis L'Amour, the great Western novelist. And he did a lot of them. His books inspired a lot of the old Westerns. And then one of them, John Wayne says, you know, to be a gentleman, you first have to be a man. And he also said, you know, you're not born a man, you're born a boy, you have to become a man. And so when men, but the essence of a man is to take responsibility, or kuleana, as we say. When they stopped having to do that and they began to seek pleasure, I think, to paraphrase Thomas Aquinas, he discussed what an effeminate man is, a man who basically seeks pleasure. So if you're not taking on kuleana, if you're not taking on responsibility, I would say in Hawaii the word imua, which means strength moving forward. If that doesn't define you, then we're the ones that gave way. We say, oh, we've been marginalized. People make fun of us. No, we did that ourselves. And so that's why the men, especially the men in the Catholic Church, the men of faith, coming together in small, you know, coming together once a week for breakfast or coffee or some of the great men's programs out there. But men need to come together, and then they can begin to provide the strength and encouragement and doing all things in love that the church needs. And you know, women stepped into a vacuum because we left our responsibilities behind. So don't blame other people. Don't act like a victim. That's disgusting. Just say, I'm going to man up now, like Paul says, and begin to be a servant leader.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I see a lot of it on Twitter, people blaming the previous generation for the state of the church. It's like, okay, don't blame. Like, what are you doing to make a difference?
Yeah.
Like get into it, get involved, and start making, I don't want to say make a difference. I feel like that's overused, but come on now.
Are you teaching confirmation classes? Are you running for the school board? Are you doing RCIA? Are you helping with the youth? You know, there's so many ways for men to step into the fray and help the women out a little bit. You know, thank God for our warrior women out there, but men need us to step up with them. And you know, that's why I say the word amua is so important. It's not just strength; it's strength moving forward. It's not just standing strong. It's stepping into the breach, and it's taking back the ground that we've lost. And the thing is, Keith, it's like, you know, I used to have a cabin up in Montana. I bought this land up by Canada, by Glacier Park. And there was raw land, so I had to even build a little road to get into it. But I remember the first time I walked up this ridgeline to where my land was, I saw a wolf across the meadow. And he looked kind of mean, like, what are you doing on my land? And but I came to find out, because I saw him many times, I came to find out that he was a lone wolf. He used to be the alpha male, and he got pushed out by a younger male. And the man who was a professor told me that wolf's going to die young because it's a lone wolf. It's meant to be in a pack, and men are that way too. Don't be a lone wolf. Don't hide out behind your talking about politics and your opinions and sports, but get in a vital relationship with other men and move forward.
Yeah, move forward. And in Arizona, I see sometimes you see coyotes, and like you said, the coyotes are meant to be in packs. And if you see a lone coyote, usually there's a reason why. It's usually sick or something else is going on with it. So that's very interesting. Yeah,
I've seen them too. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So we can find you Bears School of Manliness.com. What kind of school is? I mean, obviously it's School of Manliness, but what pertains to that? What can people find or discover?
It's so cool. We have places there for the women too. School of Manliness, you know, it's a non-Facebook community of men. And we also go through a month-by-month curriculum with audio and video and written content covering some of the different areas of the 12 rules or on the virtues. But every man can go through their own curriculum, but then once a month we have a Zoom video. But what's really cool is the men are now leading their sons through that. Their sons can have their own login, and the father can actually track their movement through the curriculum. So once a week the son can do it individually, and the father and son can do it together. And then we have a place for the mama bears too. We call them the mama bears because I remember how vicious those bears were in Montana. And we love them. We love them. And so, and then Cindy and I have a new TV show we're working on called Spirit of Adventure TV with Bear and Cindy, because our last season of Long Ride Home we filmed in Hawaii, and people started seeing more of Cindy. So we're going to be doing videos of our adventures here in Hawaii. It'll be YouTube based, and then we sail on our boat Spirit of Adventure off of the Caribbean. So it's something for the mama bears and for the whole family. I think we'll enjoy that. And in there we share the adventure of there's the most radical quest you can pursue in life is to abandon yourself to God's will, right? So that's what we're talking about, is the adventure of being in the Lord's will and seeing God do stuff.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, you do incredible work there, but yes, the 12 rules for manliness. Where have all the cowboys gone? We can pick it up, I'm sure, pretty much anywhere where books are sold. Would that be accurate to say?
Yeah, it's all like Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, all of our Catholic bookstores, Amazon, our own. We made our site a shorter name now. We just call it School of Manliness. Oh, because you know how the knuckle draggers are; they don't remember all those big words.
It's way too long for some of these generations. I understand. I get it. I'm a geriatric millennial. I'm kind of the same way. My goodness. Well, thank you, Bear, so much for hanging in there. I know, like I said, it's early morning for you, but we do have our after show clubhouse. So if this is maybe time for you to start getting ready contemplatively for Mass, Holy Mass coming up next, please, and I'll continue to say, please pray for us, because we need all the prayers we can get. So if you're staying for Holy Mass on the Guadalupe Radio Network, stay tuned for that. Otherwise, please join us in the After Show Clubhouse. Yes, we have an After Show Clubhouse where we continue the conversation strictly on the social media. So we're talking YouTube and Facebook. And if maybe you're listening on the radio, you need to get to it, and maybe you don't know where to get to it, go to YouTube, GRN Online. And if you're listening or watching on Facebook or want to, that is Morning Joy Show. All right, so Morning Joy Show for Facebook, GRN Online for YouTube. And that's a way we can kind of communicate with you. You can talk to us, we can talk to you, and it's really kind of interactive. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, like I said, please pray for us. But today is Friday, and if we don't happen to see you in the After Show Clubhouse, God bless, and make it a joyful day. See you next week.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.